So, hello, my name's Reece. I'm the host of the Northwest Emo Show, and I'm here today with Alice, better known as
Yo.
Gamma Girl. We're going to be having a chat about Alice's music, kind of scene, alt music, and kind of stepping outside of what we discussed last week, which was Midwest Emo. So, first of all, Alice, if you'd like to introduce yourself, kind of say who you are, what you do, what you like.
So hi, I'm Alice. I'm Gamma Girl. I make little indie songs at a shed, and I don't know. I put out an album called How to Like Yourself in September of last year. God, it was that long ago. Oh, I'm working on a second, but I'm a trans woman, and I'm a multi-instrumentalist and produce my own stuff, and yeah, that's me.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, first of all, I'd kind of like to talk about How to Like Yourself and the project and talk
Yeah,
a
of
bit
course.
behind the feelings behind that. And then maybe we can discuss this second album that you've coming up. That sounds rather exciting. I do have to recommend How to Like Yourself. It's really, really great. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
if you'd like to kind of go through what was some of your thought process with behind it? What are kind of the themes, the emotions about it?
Right. The majority of it, the songs share the theme of trauma and learning to, I mean, the title's kind of a giveaway,
Yeah.
but learning to live with yourself and like you trust yourself and respect yourself after you've gone through something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously that's not the only theme, but that's the one that's running through most every single track apart from This Machine Eats Fascists, which is just like the most generic kind of punk statement you could get because like I don't, it's just applicable to literally everything. But with songs like Princess and the Frog, which is the first track, I think the one I'm most proud of. That's just like dysphoria, the song, like gender dysphoria, the song. It just goes through every single feeling and emotion and situation that you put yourself in and that it puts you in throughout. Like seeing someone in the mirror that's just monstrous, feeling like huge, like you take up so much space and that you're like huge and hulking, even though I'm like 5'4" and 7 stone. Yeah, so it's very happy. There are some happy songs. There's a love song and there's another love song about my friends. So, you know, it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like some really powerful subject imagery. And I was going to mention that The Princess and the Frog is my favorite track on the program. It's a really great listen. And I think for me, it was something that I really enjoyed because as a straight cis male, I've never experienced gender dysphoria. And it kind of conveyed it in a way that I could understand more. Obviously, I never relate to because I haven't experienced it. But
I get that.
It's a really interesting listen, not just on a musical level, but like the things you talk about in the song make sense the way that you convey them. So what kind of genre would you describe that project? Is it the same as this second project that's coming up, or have you changed slightly?
Genre, I like jump between what I like think it is genre wise like every other week. Like it's kind of punk, it's kind of post punky, it's DIY emo, I suppose, because that's the scene I come from. And that doesn't really have a sound. So you can just kind of claim that you are, and then everyone's like, sure. Indie, I don't know. Yeah. Next album though is so much. I've got a grindcore song on it.
Nice.
I've got a hardcore song on there. I've got more like indie stuff, like something that sounds like Pavement or Beebe Doobie.
Nice.
I've got one that's like it's like a sprawling 6-minute long punk song. I've got it's a lot so far.
It sounds really interesting. It sounds mad varied for like one single project. In terms of that, have you been recording all of this kind of through lockdowns and stuff like that in the UK?
Oh yeah. Gamma Girl started because like I couldn't be with my band, Railways.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, I'll do some songwriting. So when we go back, like, you know, we've got, and then lockdown went on and on and on. So I was like, I'll record some demos. And then those demos turned into full songs. And then I was like, shit, these are full songs.
Yeah, I get that completely. It's good that you can use that kind of positive experience out of lockdown to get some work done and like improve your songwriting. And I think the project itself is really, really good. Did you want to mention kind of some of the stuff that you do with Railways as well?
Yeah.
Kind of what's that?
Railways is a 3-piece punk band that I'm in. We put out an EP around the same time that put out How to Like Yourself. Thank you, Sam and Tom, for that. Love ya. But like, it's very Idlesy. It's very Fontaines. It's just kind of like fast and noisy and fun.
Yeah, it's full of energy. Like I there's the common theme in this show is I talk about energy in music a lot because it's not something you can really quantify, but like you can feel it. You can feel when a track has passion in it, when someone wants to play it. And I think that definitely applies to your music, and that's why I wanted to feature it on the show. So obviously this show is dedicated to the Women in Media's conference. This is part of the coverage that I'm helping do with the Mancunian and different bits like that. So we wanted to talk about some of the songs that inspire you and some powerful women. Did you want to talk about kind of a few of the tracks that you picked for us to play on the show this week that I'll
sure,
intersperse between the chat?
So I've got Midori. I don't know what the name of the song is because it's in Japanese.
Yeah.
I found this band literally a few days ago, but I've been listening to them nonstop because it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
That it's like a fusion of jazz and noise rock and punk, and it's just unrelenting and really inspiring. Like I was like listening to it, like, God, I need to do something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's Foxtails, who are a emo band. I don't think they're from the Midwest.
Yeah.
They're kind of like screamo, I suppose, and like so multifaceted and amazing, and their songwriting is so like, it feels like they like got a blueprint for the song and then we're like, okay, so this is like, it's so well planned out. And then lastly, I've got Susie Sue, because I would be nothing without Susie Sue. I love her to death. She is, if like I had to give a single inspiration, it would be her. Like her entire, even like the pop stuff she did, it's like the best pop. It's like I would die for Susie and the Banshees.
Brilliant. I mean, I've heard of Susie and the Banshees, and I've heard very, very great things. And that's so they'll be kind of played throughout the show and throughout this chat that we're having now. But in terms of the music that you picked from your own discography, from How to Like Yourself, what made you pick those tracks for us to play on the show?
Right. So Princess and the Frog is kind of, I don't know, I think it's my most powerful track. I think it's the statement of the whole album, kind of.
Yeah.
It's the kind of, I don't know, it says everything that the rest of the album's going to go more in depth on, and kind of sets the tone. So I think it's, I had to have that one. And then there's Cloud Gazer, which everyone says is their favorite, like when it's like the single, I suppose. It's a happy love song, and it's fun and it's energetic, and it's still got like an atonal, noisy, weird section in there instead of a verse, because like I'm me. And then there's Vamp Gang, which is the love song about my friends, which sounds kind of like if the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me era Cure, and Dinosaur Jr. had a baby. I guess. So that's them.
Lovely. That's really great. And you mentioned that you kind of come from a emo scene kind of out of America. Did you want to discuss that a bit, like where you come from and where those influences lie?
Yeah, sure. So I kind of saw some of my friends from America getting like signed to labels, and I was like, whoa, I could do that. So like I started messaging all the same labels they did, and just by sheer luck managed to get in with one of the best labels, Knife Punch Records. Danny, you're amazing and I love you. They've like, I've done so much for me, like helping me market my stuff, get it out there, got me so many gigs. They get me like a tape run of my album, which was like a dream come true. I met so many amazing people through the DIY scene as well, like Your Arms Are My Cocoon, who Tyler is just unstoppable and unique, and it's just, if we're talking about inspirational people, Tyler, Your Arms and My Cocoon is just insane. Home Is Where is amazing. They just put out an album about dysphoria as well. So yeah, Home Is Where, I love them. I'll Book the Nerd, Rookie Card, Tooth Cemetery. There's so many amazing people. It's you can't name them all. It's crazy.
That's brilliant. But I mean, that's the foundation of alternative. Like you've just named their bands that are at the heart of it, at the heart of the underground, and that's amazing because that's exactly what I want to deliver with this show. It's kind of, here's me finding real underground bands, alternative bands,
Right, thank you.
and sharing them. And it's really great that you've got, he's coming straight from the source with you, basically, because you know these bands as well, which is great.
Yeah, I'm so lucky that I get to be friends with them.
Really,
it's crazy.
And as part of that, kind of, what's your opinion of alt as a culture, as a scene? Like, because obviously it's a massive umbrella and there's lots of different things into it. And you obviously cross between several different parts of that because your music's so versatile. So I thought you'd kind of be the perfect kind of person to talk about what is alt and where do you think it fits in with everything?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know. I think alt is to be alt is just to be expressive, like, of how you really feel, I suppose. That's a really blanket term that doesn't really mean a whole lot, but I think, I don't know, because if you look at every single little subcategory of alt, you've got like goth and punk and emo, and but like the one thing they all have in common is expression of the self. So I think that if you boil it down to its simplest terms, I think that's probably what alt is. And I love all of the different little things and groups and categories that you get within it. Like I'm a diehard for, I don't look it, but sound it, but I'm a diehard for like 80s goth shit.
Nice.
And I love hardcore punk. I love some metal. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of all, but like black metal and death metal and grindcore. And like I can get into that. And like, I don't know. Alt is amazing. Alt is wonderful.
I think that's a really great way to put it. It's an expression of self, because alternative is being different from the norm. So therefore you do have to express yourself, because you're not just a given or a taken. And obviously part of that expressing yourself, being authentic, part of that relates to you being a trans woman in music. I wondered if you'd want to kind of talk about your experiences a little bit, how that works in terms of the music industry and your experiences.
Well, I think for one, it's most people that I've met, all people that I've met through this have been amazing about it. And so supportive. That the scene I'm in is mostly trans, non-binary LGBT artists as well. So I don't know, everyone, it's such a wonderful, understanding, caring community, just alternative music in general. And the music industry as a whole, it kind of, I think it can be kind of a setback because it's not what execs really want to hear. They want to hear cis people, they want to hear straight people. Although maybe, I might get in by luck because they're trying to fill some like equality quota or something. So there's always that. But I think for the most part it's been a wonderful, caring, positive experience.
That's brilliant. And I think that is a key thing to touch on as well, is that I often find the music from LGBTQ plus communities and trans people to be some of the best music I've ever listened to, some of the most passionate, because it's about the art, because it's not seen by those that are in charge of like record labels, at like big record labels, as being the most marketable thing. And there's no real evidence for that, but that's kind of why it's not publicized massively. They don't really have a reason. They just don't see it as marketable, which is why you don't see. But obviously you have big musicians like Sophie, who obviously was amazing.
Rest in peace. Oh,
Incredibly sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But musicians like this are all, I think, amazing. And I think most of the time, the generic music fan doesn't listen to them just because it's not put on the front page of Spotify. And that's a real shame, which is kind of what I wanted to do with this show, is to show you music that's not going to be on the front page of Spotify. So in terms of the general chat, in terms of kind of where everything fits together with music and your future releases, we've kind of spoken about. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on lastly before we finish the chat?
I want to say go, and I just put out a song on a cover compilation with a bunch of white stripe covers for people in the DIY scene. It's on Bandcamp. It's called DIY Stripes. Go support it. It is, all the proceeds go to charity that helps kids in Oklahoma set up like music programs. So yeah, go support that. Go support all the bands and everything that I've mentioned. Go check them out. Go show them love, because they really do deserve it. Yeah, be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Have a good day.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me. That obviously was Alice, or better known as Gamma Girl.